Hi, good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. Um, I think the topic today is extremely interesting. And if I can read out, is revolutionizing financial services. Now, as far as I remember, financial services have always been in the front when it comes to digital transformation for many, many years. And this is true even now when we see the advances and the use of technology, which financial services are making. It's really top of the pyramid anywhere. So I think the focus in today's discussion, we are talking of digital transformation as well as the impact of cloud native development. And this is something new which has come in the recent years. Earlier, it was always, our focus was always to develop applications on servers and generally host the servers in our own data centers. And now we find a lot of cloud native development happening right from the way, when you start. So that is something that would be of interest in this discussion to understand from all of you. And I see that we have a very nice, composition of the panel. We have banks, we have infrastructure development finance company, we have a mutual fund, and so that therefore we have a good mix of the financial services. One thing missing, where I started my career in the financial services, is a stock exchange, but I think maybe I can cover up a little bit on that. So before we start, let me request each one of you to please introduce yourself. There are a couple of things. One is your current role and what you're looking at, and very briefly, and also a little bit about your previous work profile, where you worked earlier, how many years, etc. So that will all help us all to understand each other and where you come from. So should I request Babu to first introduce himself? Maybe take a couple of minutes.
Yeah. Good morning. My name is Babu Thomas. I had IT in Federal Bank. I'm in this role from 2018 onwards in IT, heading the IT. I'm responsible for the entire IT. There is no specifically there is no CA or CTO. It is all rolled up into one position as head of IT. That is my current role. I have been, as Rajeev was mentioning, you can mention about your past roles, past jobs, because unfortunately I don't have anything so, because I have been there in the bank for the last 27 years. So it's a long time. 27. This is my 20th year in the bank.
Okay.
In different roles. But if you say that I was in IT department from 2006 onwards, I'm based out of Kotak.
Okay. So may I request Vishal?
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Vishal Rathod, and presently I'm working with the General Manager and Chief Information Officer for India Infrastructure Finance Company. This is a Government of India company under direct administrative control of Ministry of Finance, Government of India. We deals in long-term infrastructure funding. So all the major project of the India, it is being funded by us. I'm working with this company from last 6+ years. Prior to that, I worked for a couple of banks, including public sector and private sector. Last, I was with the Yes Bank as a Senior Vice President and heading their digital banking. Prior to that, I worked for the Central Bank of India, ICICI Bank, Andhra Bank, Bharatiya Mila Bank, etc. Presently, we are using many of the IT application here, but our main transaction is in SAP. So, now we are in process to upgrade our existing SAP to S/4HANA. This is my brief introduction.
Okay, good. Ananth?
Yeah, hi everyone. Morning. I'm Ananth Subramanian here. I've been with Kotak Asset Management Companies, one of the group companies of the Kotak Mahindra, concern. Obviously, we do the mutual fund part. I am head of technology. I manage entire application and infra stack for the mutual fund operations of the Kotak Group. Been here with Kotak for almost 20 plus years now. Prior to this, I was associated with the pharmaceutical domain. That also I was around there for 15 plus years. And it's been an exciting journey so far. And being in the BFSI segment, it's a different ballgame that we do as compared to a pharma that I manage. So I could kind of understand what Rajeev was saying earlier in terms of services. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's it.
Great. Thanks a lot. And Anuj?
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Anuj, and I represent this open source company called Reddit. I'm sure most of you would have heard about, but to some of my listeners on the other side, so Reddit is basically the global open source leader, and our mission is to be the catalyst in communities of customers, contributors, and partners. Put the code combined together and create a better technology the open source way. I have been leading emerging technologies business for Reddit India for about 4 years. And prior to this, I spent a couple of years in Oracle, a couple of years in Silicon Valley, trying multiple roles, and also served a couple of Indian global system integrators like Tech Mahindra and Birlasoft. About 20 years in industry, excited to be a part of this panel and looking forward to a great discussion ahead.
Great. And very quickly, my introduction. I started my career in the Indian Navy. I did 20 years in the Navy and took premature retirement as a commander. But I'm basically a technical person. I did my BTech electronics from BHU, and then my MTech IIT Kanpur. I did it in computer science. After the Navy, I joined the Delhi Stock Exchange for a couple of years. And if you all remember, 1995, 96 was the time when online trading was coming into the country. Only Delhi, National Stock Exchange and Bombay Stock Exchange were the two which had gone live a little before that. So Delhi Stock Exchange was the third one going live. So I joined as the General Manager Information Systems in 1995. So that was my first interaction in the financial services. Later on, I moved to HCL Infosystems as the CIO, Hughes Software Systems, and I was with Ernst & Young India as the CIO of India practice, Middle East and Africa, last 12 years. I retired now. I'm involved in a few startups, just as, for angel investments and so on. Right. So moving ahead, what I would like to say is, as I started off, yes, financial services has been in the forefront of digital transformation for many, many years. But what we would like to focus on is the current and recent developments that we've seen both in the field of digital transformation with a specific focus on cloud native development. And one of the issues which keeps coming to my mind is data privacy, data security, these type of issues. And these are challenges very, very prominent in the financial services sector. So not only from a safety of transactions or authenticity and, but also from a point of view of all these local regulations which come into play. So I think we'll keep a little focus on that. So I think let's start, and we can all share our current status of digital transformation. What is the platform that we are using or you're implementing at the moment? And also, if you're really looking at cloud native development and how you're taking those aspects into mind. So I know there are a number of factors which come into play. One is the internal, efficiencies of the organization itself. Yes, as you mentioned, SAP, ERPs and all that look after the internal part primarily. But at the same time, digital transformation is also impacting the client services. And, from a client perspective, I see a lot of convenience which has come in. It's huge. I mean, you won't believe it when we see, simply using an app and being able to do so many transactions sitting at home. It's something unbelievable a few years back. So yes, there has been a complete digital infrastructure which has come up in the country and driven very well by the government and the agencies involved. So how are you leveraging that? Is that something which is impacting your services to the clients and all the infrastructure that you have. So I think I have no particular sequence, but since I started with Babu, let me come back to you and request you for an update and your thoughts.
Yeah, thank you. See, on the digital transformation, I think we can say it is revolutionizing the financial service, because the change is happening so fast that if you compare, it is actually an evolution with a faster pace. Because if you look at the bank, how it has happened earlier, it was ALPMs, then it was .AP means advanced data posting machines, then it was total bank branch automation, TBA, then it moved to core banking, then from core banking to it started integrating with the different systems. Then if you look at the prime mover or the prime motive for all this progress was what you mentioned, Rajeev, is the customer convenience. That was a prime motive, that is a prime mover for, I think, all the financial services, how we progress from an ALPM, from a calculator to ALPM to total bank automation to CBS to all integrated system, where now that is a flip side to that is that we don't know where we are now. If something goes wrong, now that observability comes in. Basically, it is an evolution, but if you look at the pace at which the things moved after, say, 2005, 2006, it is something which was very fast. The integration came, then governments, as you mentioned, like with the UPI, what you call the entire digital scenario has changed. Then came the Jan-Dhan, what you call India Stack, which enabled you to open the accounts online without any manual intervention. So what my perspective in this is that it is not a revolution, but it is actually an evolution at a faster rate. Is what I will say for this current digital transformation. And this cloud native is the next step, or it is already happening. For many organizations have moved to cloud applications, SaaS-based applications. Earlier, even the banks were reluctant to move to cloud. But now banks, if you look at my options, first I will look at the SaaS. That is my if a new solution comes, I look at the SaaS, whether it is available as a SaaS model. Then okay, we will evaluate the SaaS model. It may be a little bit costlier, but I think that is one option. Then the next option is whether the application is available, whether we can host it in our bank's cloud or even the vendor's cloud. That's the second option. But since we have all of banks, if you look at the banks specifically, because all of us have invested heavily into on-premises infra, we will say that if all these options are not available and the applications are some data critical, we will then, as a third option, we will try to put it in on-premises. If you look at the on-premises also, there also the majority, say 90-95% of the deployments are done on VMs, virtual machines. So you can say that it is a private cloud. There also it is a private cloud. So it is something like it is revolutionized, basically evolution at a faster pace. And the what you call this cloud native is something you cannot avoid even after maybe 12 to 24 months. All the applications offered by the major players will be available already on cloud. That is what my feeling is. And one more thing is that the one of the most critical criteria for cloud is that availability and the what you call scalability, which you have an inference of in your on-premises model at some level. Otherwise, you will have to invest very heavily. So these are the two, scalability and availability are the two major parameters which a cloud native or cloud can offer to any institution. So there is no other option other than moving to that what we call
Anything
cloud
specific?
native application.
Anything specific about your Federal Bank infrastructure or apps, etc., that you can mention here?
If you look at, we have already moved, we are using Oracle Fusion CRM, that is the SaaS model. And the new applications, some of the UPI stacks, we moved or in the process of moving into the cloud, into the cloud, that to the public clouds, not to the what you call. We have our own cloud because we have our 95% of our on-premises, either it is on VM virtualized Intel boxes, or it is a virtualized AX boxes. So basically, that journey we have started some time back. So it is a natural progression for us to move to cloud native, because all the new applications, whether it is custom made or even the procured applications, we check for whether it is a cloud native. Sometimes we cannot help in some cases, we cannot help other than getting the older monolithic application. But it is not necessary that everything has to be cloud native. Wherever it is suitable, we go for that. And wherever it is suitable, we make the installations in cloud. Specifically, I told you that the preference is SaaS is available, we go for SaaS. Otherwise, onto the cloud, or else that is open. Because one thing is that lift and shift, anyway, sometimes it may not work. You don't know the way it was envisaged, so we did not prefer that. So this is what my view on the topic.
Great. Ananth, coming to you, what about Kotak Mutual Fund, and generally, how are mutual funds handling this? What is the current status?
Yeah, so ours, as you're aware, mutual funds, the way they run the business, it's quite different from all the other financial entities that are there. For us, the customer is even not supposed to be known to us, right? Ours is a completely distributed even business, and we are not even supposed to reach out to the customers directly, because that will antagonize the distributors in some form. But having said that, sometime back, we started direct investments. I mean, the regulator allowed the direct investments to happen, where you could kind of do investment directly. So the NAV benefits obviously were visible for some of the customers. And we started our cloud journey around 2 years back, where we decided to move our digital properties onto the cloud. So currently what we have today, in fact, most of the AMCs also, like all the digital properties is what is there on the cloud. Because largely the transactions are all managed by our RTS. For us, it's scams. For some, it could be the K-Fintechs or whatever. So the day-to-day running of these, papers and the entire investor transaction that happens is kind of handled by the RTA, which is there at the back end. But so what we do at our end is largely, set up systems, help modernize applications for the distributors. And we also set up applications to kind of empower the distributor on his digitization journey. So today, if you as a customer come to a distributor, there will be a white label application at the back end that we would have given it to him. And the distributor also feels, digitally empowered. He's able to do online transactions, and all these stitching is there at the back end with us and with CAMs and, stuff like using APIs and whatever. So that's where the journey has been. I think all the mutual fund entities, typically for us, it's a similar kind of operations that we run as an industry. So today, like, we are the 5th largest in the country today, domestic mutual funds, and our journey when we started long back was around at 30,000 crores. So we were almost at 3.5 lakh crore of corpus, which is what we handle. And we have been scaling up operations thanks to the cloud native support that is there. Of course, not everything has been moved out to the cloud or legacy, or even our fund accounting is what we primarily do. Fund accounting systems and all are completely on-prem, because they don't require systems to be, they're all internal systems. All our internal systems we continue to manage on-prem. It's only the power and the scale that we have added. And cloud is expensive. Okay, let's understand that very clearly. And as a mutual fund operation, the margins are pretty thin. I mean, you are not a manufacturing organization, and for us, the uptime is absolutely essential, no doubt. The NAVs, the trading terminals, and all that absolutely key to our day-to-day operation, the treasury, the funding, and all that happens. Having said that, our on-premise systems are equally well geared with all the BCP and resiliency in place to ensure that we are up and about all the time. So we can't afford any downtime, especially during cutoff times when investor is transacting and there are institutional investors coming in with thousands of crores of investments, and you cannot, have a system not working at that point of time. But largely, yes, as Babu mentioned here, some of the systems that which need agility, the distributed models and all, we've been putting that on the cloud, where we have been able to use some of the cloud native operations. Our analytics journey, for example, our entire analytics, we are now putting onto the cloud. We have been using tools like Redshift or AWS Glue and some of these native systems, so that we are, wherever there is scale and power of compute required, okay, we have been kind of pushing on to these cloud and cloud native solutions. Wherever it's little more around, where we don't need that kind of a throughput or that kind of a high intensive compute to happen. I mean, those solutions continue to remain on cloud. Even our digital platforms, the backend database is still on-prem. Okay, the customer data is still on-prem, but our CRM is moving on to the cloud because we want the sales and the teams to. So there are a lot of integrations happening on CRM, the analytics, the ability to kind of be available online, because the sales, the feet on the street guy is kind of going to be meeting up people. He's going to be making his calls, and we would want it to be his devices to be kind of capable enough to handle those kind of inputs that he's trying to do. So we have been migrating that. Shortly, we'll be live with that platform. But that's how the journey overall has been, where we look at what is required, what is the business requirement, and then take a conscious call as to whether we need to move onto the cloud or not. Use native solutions, or we do hybrid. So we are there on all the cloud platforms today, whether it's Azure, whether it's AWS or whichever. We are open to all those solutions. And it helps us to also kind of mitigate some risk, because we are highly regulated. In fact, the regulator tells us that, you should try to see how you mitigate concentration risk. So there are so many things that we need to look at. SaaS platforms, especially data localization is an issue, where they insist on data to be within the Indian geographical domain. And some of these SaaS platforms, if you want to try and go into and we find that data is getting stored outside the Indian domain, then that's an issue. So we have to look at all these aspects before we kind of conclude on what we need to do. But it's a mixed bag today, and I believe that will be the journey going forward also.
Right, very interesting. In fact, my input to you is, it's not just distributors. Nowadays, a lot of people like us, the end consumers, are using your platforms to invest directly in mutual funds, because we don't want to pay the distributor whatever 1.5%, 2% every year that they charge, right?
Absolutely. So our online portals takes care of distributors and obviously investors.
Yeah, that's right. And they've become very user-friendly, yes. Both on the laptop as well as the apps that you have.
The idea is to provide as much service as possible to the end user, make this operation as seamless as it possible. Finally, it all stitches back to my RTA, because there will be an API running at the back end, because he's the one who's actually processing the transaction, right? But we give him all the facilities that the RTA offers. And apart from all this, obviously, we have the RTA branches and our own branches. You can always walk into my office and do whatever transaction that you want to. But that's how the ecosystem is.
That's right. And you mentioned high availability and reliability of the platforms, because that is something which is very, very, irritating for a client to be trying to purchase invest in mutual funds, and then you find it's not working. I remember, of course, the stock exchange was using all those tandem and status fault tolerant hardware and all of those sort of things. But this is a little below that. That itself adds to the complexity of the whole solution. Yes. So coming to Vishal, would you like to add with IDFC? And IDFC is a huge organization, again, from a scale perspective. And what is your experience like?
Yeah. Hi, Rajeev. First of all, we are not IDFC, we are IIFCL, India Infrastructure Finance.
Oh, sorry.
IDFC is an altogether different institute, and we are the different actually. But anyway, so as far as the digital transformation, when you talk now, especially in the BFSI domain, so late 90s, all the BFI or banks has been adopted the information technology. And the primarily objective is to remove the physical ledger basically, and to bring some efficiency. However, in the 95 or 96 around, this banks has started using the core banking solution application. Especially it is being started with the ICICI Bank. And then in the year 2002, all the banks has been started using the core banking application. And in fact, around 2005, all the banks, major banks are on the core banking application. So primarily aim to adopt the core banking application is to bring the operational efficiency and to reduce the operational cost. However, after that, banks has been focused on the acquisition of the customer. And accordingly, they have come out with the various digital products, be it is a internet banking, be it is a mobility or some payment application kind of things. And once the customer acquisition piece has been completed, then in the BFI, the IT investment is very huge. And it is getting increased day by day by introducing the various new technology and all those. And at that time, that bank has started to reduce the cost. How to reduce the cost? At that stage, they have started. First, that model has been come, that is a co-location model, where companies has been own the ICT infrastructure and it is being deployed into the third-party data center. Because to maintain, first create the data center, it is required the use cost, and the daily basis it is the maintenance. You would require the skilled employees who are having the efficiency to manage the data center. You would require the use investment at the initial. You would require the use power cost and all those things. So accordingly, they have started using the co-location model, where the ICT infrastructure is being deployed into the third-party data center. However, later they have understand now in this model. So there is a one big problem. Your projection should be accurate, because whatever the ICT infrastructure you are procuring, be it is a server, storage, computer, whatever, you have to first make the projection for the next 5 years. If your projection is not good, then again after 3 years or 4 years, you have to scrap the entire ICT infrastructure and purchase the newer one. That is a big challenge. And this is one thing. And after that, so that's why this cloud part has been comes into the picture. Nowadays, if you will look at the cloud, it is a various few buzzwords. Be it is a cloud, be it AI, be it is ML, these on analytics. These are the buzzwords. Now we have to understand the genesis behind this cloud adoption. Now, first thing, that is the cost part. Obviously, whatever ICT infrastructure I am purchasing today, which I am supposed to use in the third year, fourth year, or the last year. Usually, this ICT infrastructure life would be around 5 years, 5 to 7 years. So whatever the infrastructure I'm purchasing today, I may use in the third year or fourth year. However, I have to pay the cost upfront. This is one part. Second part is that, as I said, the projection. If your projection are not accurate, either you are purchased the under ICT infrastructure or the overestimate. That would be the again costing part. Third part is to maintain to maintenance of this ICT infrastructure. So that's why this cloud comes into the picture. In that cloud, you have to make your projection for 1 year or 2 years, and after that you can increase the ICT infrastructure as per the need. This is one part. Second part is that obviously agility, scalability, and the TAT. The moment you feel obviously now you want to increase your compute power, definitely you can go to your cloud service provider, ask them to add the few more CPUs in your virtual machine. If you feel that you would require the more storage, then definitely you can reach to your CSP, ask them to add the few more storage in provided ICT infrastructure. That is the main part. Now, once we talk about the cloud, that is also the technology about the 3, 4, 5 years back. Now, this is the time how we can bring the efficiency on the cloud itself. So that's why this cloud native development comes into the picture. What are the cloud you have adopted? Now you have to see what are the application you are using, whether they are resources hungry or not, how you can efficiently use those application by not increasing your compute power kind of thing. So that's why this cloud native application development comes into the picture. These applications are basically providing the microservices. When we are talking about the microservices, it means these are the small services which will be clubbed together and produce the final result. So when we're talking about the microservices, these are not the resources only. So I can reduce my cloud compute cost, or maybe storage cost I may not reduce, because obviously this would require the data. Number one. Number two, when I'm talking about the cloud, nowadays that business is runs on your analytics. You should require the more powerful engine, analytics engine. When I'm talking about the analytics engine, these are the resources hungry. Again, because this would require your entire data. This requires the use compute power to generate the result for your management or to take another business decision. So that's why this cloud native development comes into the picture. So this would generate the result by using the not more compute power. This is the one part. As far as my organization, Presently, obviously, we are looking, we are using the co-location model, but now we have already moved to, we are already initiated the process to move over the completely on the cloud.
Okay, that's very interesting. So, I mean, all these views that are coming out, talk about so much of development and digital transformation that is going on. Very interesting. But I want to come to Anuj, and I know from a background and historical perspective, all these open source type of models were always a concern for the CIOs. We always used to worry about how is it going to be supported, how is it going to work for us, whether it will take care of all these security patches and so on, which let's say Microsoft or SAP or Oracle provide. And so that concern is one area. And also in terms of availability of various platforms and various tools to develop or even to host, etc., has always been a concern, including with cybersecurity becoming a huge issue nowadays. So, Anuj, why don't you talk about Red Hat and how that can support, especially the financial services industry?
Fantastic, Rajeev. So let me start with why we're feeling a stress on the financial sector, right? Because traditionally from a cash deposit, register, we have come a very, very far way. In my opinion, Aadhaar was a game changer, right? Aadhaar was the basic mental on which the entire digital services were revolutionized. Immediately after that, Aadhaar, we saw UPI, we saw Bharat payment services, we saw ONDC, we saw NETC, NSCA, IMTS, Aadhaar enabled payment services, so many innovation came right after Aadhaar. And this is something I would like to give a great credit to our great institutions like Reserve Bank of India and NPCI, right? Uh, Today, if I see the global West is looking at us, they want to learn from the digital public infrastructure which India has built over a period of last 10 years. This is phenomenal growth what we have seen. Now, if you bring so many technology, right, which gives the remote onboarding of a customer, which gives a video KYC, though he don't need to walk into anywhere. He can fill his address at any given point of time. He can make any payment. Now, a lot of innovations like auto pay in UPI, auto payment from UPI, right? A P2P settlement. Recently, Reserve Bank also announced a central bank-powered digital currency, which is like e-rupee, which is going to be a phenomenal game changer. Now, so many technology innovation is really good on the customer side, but it puts a huge amount of headache and huge amount of pressure on the IT and the innovation side. This puts a tremendous pressure in terms of cost, in terms of ROI, in terms of being ready, right? Now, if you want to achieve this, you need a cloud native platform. Now, what is a cloud native platform? Let me define that. The cloud native platform, which the platform which is really flexible, which takes no time to provision, which is secure, right? It does not mean that it necessarily have to run on a public cloud only. What Red Hat does, Red Hat provides you a glue which is based on this award-winning container technology. Now, my friend talked about now Vishalji talked about microservices. I really love this idea. This is exactly how we deliver some of these services. Now, the challenge about some of the requirement is that today, you know what is going to be a load on a traditional BFSI core banking system, but you cannot predict that what is going to be the load on your UPI, on your e-rupee, on your GSTN based interface, because this is all customer driven. So you need a platform which is not only safe, which is faster to develop, faster to deploy, which can scale from any number of transactions to any number of transactions. Let me give you from scale point of view, this country's largest goods and services network, they are today capable of running 500,000 transactions per second. I mean, that is a kind of scale which they are looking at. And this is truly not possible, if they do not containerize their application. Right now, how do you bring this innovation is something which you can learn from the open source way, because open source has been innovating for about 30 years globally. But the problem with open source is that either you have to be a global technology company with thousands of researchers, which can simply, develop their own technology, which is suited to their company, or you could use an enterprise ready platform, right? You can simply use it and tune it to your requirement with your ISV ecosystem, with your internal development team. So this is where we come handy, right? Once you take a subscription from us, we ensure that, we give you the 100% open source code, which is productized, which has a life cycle, which is backed up by 24 into award-winning support. Today in this country, 10 out of 12 public sector bank engage with me. I'm covering almost 90% of the large private sector bank. The largest bank of India on the public sector side also depends on us. So this is how we think that, we can help some of these, BFSI key players from the industry.
Right, but Anuj, anything specific? I know some of this is information which you cannot share in a public platform, but anything specific about these various banks that you can talk about? Which are the popular products?
So I will talk about some of the things like, core banking has been really stable, that there is not much innovation which is happening. There are very less people who are like planning to touch it, but all the periphery application, be it the payment network, be it financial inclusion products like Aadhaar-enabled payment, be it, now you're hearing various nice concepts like, the credit card on UPI, right? The ONDC is another framework which is talking about democratizing the e-commerce, the e-commerce delivery and deployment in India. This ONDC platform not only brings the buyers and suppliers, it also brings a lot of financial inclusion like digital lending players, the invoice financing kind of players, the kind of banks and the payment networks, right? These are the players which comes onto this platform, including some of the mutual fund and some of the IPO kind of companies which are coming on this platform. Now, in order to be ready for this, the idea is to create a glue surrounding your core banking technology. Now, this is a glue which you need to build either internally or you need to build it with your partners. Somebody has famously said that the next century's bank is going to be a deep tech company, because this is something where we are moving towards. But today, what I see, most of the bank, on one side, they are developing their internal capabilities in terms of delivering some of these applications, including AI, ML, and some of the banks are partnering with some of the large system integrators and small boutique, nice ISV players of India on the digital lending side, on the CBDC side, on the UPI side, on the AML side, on the KYC side, on the communication, SMS, OTP side, and then they are delivering this innovation on various open source products. The key message from my side would be that, you are not supposed to be locked in on a particular hypervisor or particular public cloud. Once you have a portable glue, which is extremely, extremely important. Cloud is always easy to adopt. It's always cheap to start, but once you scale, it becomes a big problem. Over a period of time, the cost multiply 30 to 50 to 100 times, which we have seen. One of the large private bank, which I personally know started with a $1 million consumption, is today paying about 350 crore to one of the largest, global cloud service provider, which was a concern of Ananth as well. So choose your glue, which is 100% portable, 100% scalable, which gives you a speed, which gives you a framework where you could write modularized microservices-based code. That's the key to deliver.
Great. So, there are a few terms which are extremely widely used these days, and I want to just focus on those with all of you once again. We don't have too much of time left, so maybe a couple of minutes each. We talk of AI ML, and Anuj just mentioned that, and we've also talked about analytics, and of course, all of that depends upon AI ML largely. So, that is one area. The other is cybersecurity. And again, as I said in the beginning, I feel financial services is huge. I mean, that's a very, very important focus from a point of view of making sure all your privacy and security is taken care of. So looking at these two and any other high-tech or latest developments that you can talk about very briefly before we conclude, maybe again, starting with Babu, would you like to take on this?
Yeah, security with all this advent of all these technological innovations, new products, mixing and matching of new products and presenting it to the customer in a different manner. All these things have made the life of customer easy. Meanwhile, those who are working in the backend, making the system, stitching the systems together, working it perfectly without any hitches, working it 24/7 in the same, what you call almost all the responses going in the specified tag for the 99% of the messages and all those things. For them, one side it is making the systems perfectly working okay without any downtime, and all those. On the other side, we will have to balance the security, because you cannot escape from patching a system properly. You cannot escape from updating the files, refreshing the technology. See, every time, the one biggest challenge I think all of us are facing is that earlier we used to get a lifetime life cycle of 5 to at least minimum 5 years of a particular major version. Now that is getting shrunk. That means we will have to do a tech refresh, whether you like it or not. You'll have to do it. Otherwise, you will not get any security updates. There's nothing.
Yeah.
That is on one part. It is putting a huge pressure on the IT team, whether you do it in-house or you do it partner-driven or SI-driven. That is one thing you cannot escape, because 5 years is becoming 1 to 4, 3. I don't know what will happen tomorrow. That is one huge pressure. So we cannot compromise on security. Then every time a new incident happens, new solutions come out, then you will be putting it on the and you have to ensure the endpoint, both the user endpoint and on the server endpoints also. You have to deploy all these things. You have to see that with all this deployment, all this security solution working, you have to see that your application is still working with that either 5 nines or 6 nines. You have to see that it is working similarly. You have to assess when what will happen. You have to do a lot of testing. So that the kind of pressure, which not the pressure, the kind of working has totally that has also revolutionizedly changed over the last few years with the invent of India Stack and other technical advances. So this and the analytics, the data size huge, the volume of data has grown like anything, something you cannot imagine that daily you are having a number of transactions you are having a daily. If you take 10 years back, you'll be having those number of transactions, maybe 1 month or 2 months. Now those transactions happening on a single day. So the kind of data volume has increased manifold. The managing those, you require more power, more compute, all those things. So this has become something which is for managing the IT heads require to have either you have to have a support of an AI-based sound system, see all this in a total perspective and take decisions, or you will have to have something like an AI fitted into your brain and make your brain work additional in a perspective. So all this has to be taken into consideration. So there is no escape from that.
Right. So Ananth, you had also mentioned about analytics on cloud, and so therefore, anything specific you can talk about that, and anything to do with AI. How are you using that?
Yeah, we have been working on some projects to kind of see, end of the day, what we would want to do is kind of retain our customers, right? If somebody is trying to redeem and you would like to see whether I can hold him from redeeming anything, or maybe he's not investing into the right mixture of products that he's kind of currently purchased. So these are the things that we've been working on for the AI. But see, the chatbots and all are pretty novel. Like, I mean, not everybody is doing all that stuff. But is there any way I can get information of, predict whether he's going to redeem in the coming future, or give him the right mix of products? Apart from that, a lot of AI/ML work that we're trying to do is more to help the research teams, because we have seen largely, a lot of these chat GPTs and the OpenAIs of the world, whatever that you may name them right now, they've been very useful for the content part. So we've been trying to, like, somebody wants to kind of just research, add up some reports and kind of summary of that, all those entire study that somebody has done. Today he's reading all the reports and giving us, not that he's going to replace, the AI is going to replace whatever the research team is saying, but he'll just kind of give a quick summary of whatever we want to look at. And what if some customer sends you an email, and we may want to respond to him basis the content of that email, not just a templatized, response saying that, hey, your ticket number is so and so, we'll get back to you shortly, kind of stuff. So these are all the areas that I've been looking into, and we have seen that these do work more with the cloud, better with the cloud. You building your own LLMs, back at the and that compute that is required to churn the information and all that. doesn't make sense. So you would rather go with some of these cloud-based platform, whether it's a Bedrock of the world, whether it's a Google Vertex, and so those are the solutions that we're trying to explore. And we're doing some POCs and we found some good results in those areas. These are all the things that we've been kind of working out so far. And analytics, as I mentioned earlier, it's more to see that how can the retain customers do the right. I'm not even supposed to sell mutual fund to a customer, right? I'm only supposed to give inputs to the distributor. Then he's kind of, I cannot go and get hold of a customer and tell him that, hey, this is what you're doing. This is a better product you need to sell you. But I can probably get some indication of the behavior of, even from the IT security side, where AIML is very useful, is kind of correlating those logs and seeing, like, we've been doing, we have enhanced our SIM with the SOAR and, with UEBA kind of solutions, which kind of help you, get a, kind of a quicker response to some of the actions. Earlier, we used to get a ticket generated on alerts and my team would kind of go look at it and then mitigate. Now, these are more automated platforms that we do, and we look at logs and see if there is a correlation with some other IT incident and with a new alert that has kind of come in. So these are all the areas where we feel AIML will be significantly useful. And rest of the cybersecurity is hygiene. I mean, you have to do cybersecurity, right? I mean, you can't be without. I mean, we talk about DLP and stuff and all the apes, DDoS. I mean, these are all basic that you need to be doing. So we also monitor dark web today to know if somebody's already leaked something already. How do you know that something is not already gone out, right? I mean, you're never sure with cybersecurity, right? You do simulation exercises and stuff like that. The user awareness, all these areas is what we kind of been working on.
Right, over to Vishal. So would you like to talk about these topics in short?
Okay. So, obviously, as and when we'll talk about the cloud, then there would be the security concerns like that. Okay. There's always things, specifically when I'm talking about my company, since we are the public sector company, so we are having whatever the data we are holding, that's the public data, we are holding the public money. So security part, it is quite critical for us. Number one. Number two, when we are talking about the cloud services, the main thing is that cloud is providing a bouquet of the services. So before adoption of the cloud, you must be aware about your requirement, what exactly you would require. You cannot simply click all the checkboxes. You have to analyze your requirement, assess your requirement, then only you have to select those checkboxes. Security is the one part behind that. Because as Mr. Babu is said, every day the huge transaction, it is being increased day by day, number one. Anuj has said the number of ways you can do the transaction, be it is a UPI, be it is a Aadhaar-enabled payments, be it is a various payment application, wallets application. So you never know from where you are getting the threat. Accordingly, you have to see what kind of security you have to place, number one. Number two, when we are talking about the number of transaction increase, in that case, before adoption of the cloud, we have to see what is the cost. You must be aware about the in cost and the out cost. Means wherever, especially that is the hyperscaler provider, these are having the in cost. Whatever the data it is comes to your server and whatever the data it goes from your ICT, it will lead to some cost. So in case of the retail transaction, that cost would be the very huge. So we have to see which kind of cloud we have to adopt. What is my requirement? In case of very huge transaction, you can see whether we have to go for the hybrid kind of module, where you can keep your core application in your premises and wherever the analytics kind of required, where the use data in and out data may not be required, you can keep on the cloud. However, specifically I come to the security point of view. So for the government companies, we rather to go for the GCC rather than the virtual private cloud. So in GCC, in the whatever the data, whatever the application, it is being deployed on the government community cloud. So all the government companies, they are sharing the cloud with each other. So tomorrow, if my data is got compromised, the maximum risk is that my data is got compromised with a government company. I cannot say I'm by adopting this GCC, I am going to eliminate the 100% risk. However, I can mitigate my risk. That is only the reason behind that. Number one. Number two, as one of my fellow panelists said, that is a data localization. This government of India, Reserve Bank of India is already issued the guideline, whatever the data, it should be reside into the India only. This brings us some comfort to us.
Anuj, any concluding couple of minutes from your side?
Phenomenal. Like, I would like to bring your panel's attention to a new area, which is called as trusted software supply chain. If you see, Biden's administration in the United States of America last year passed an executive order that any product, be it a software product or a physical product, is as secure as the ingredients of the product would be, right? When we talk about innovation, we let our ISV choose a variety of code. We do. A lot of banks are running hackathons internally. They give their developer a chance to go and innovate. Pick up any programming language, any framework, just be more productive, more feature hungry, and try to deliver the innovation faster. The problem with this model is that while this is great for innovation, but it brings a lot of anomaly and a lot of code related issues and malicious code from internet back into your software supply chain. So what Red Hat is advising its customer a cloud-based platform which is known as trusted software supply chain, which is integrated from your development teams and your developers on day one. This is to prevent and identify any malicious code, any library, any jar file, any reusable code which you bring from internet, GitHub, and all other places. We scan them early in the life cycle. Then we give you a fully secure container environment which is running on award-winning Red Hat Enterprise Linux, which is a base of our container platform, OpenShift. And finally, our platform will continue to monitor the security posture for all known and unknown CV vulnerabilities and libraries on public cloud, on private cloud, on a variety of hybrid cloud. This is one way that how you should code, build, and monitor combine together, and then continue to focus on your innovation. This is one way. While perimeter security is important, but this is one dimension that what large engineering house, your ISV, your internal development team should definitely consider, because it's not an afterthought. You should involve the CISO organizations early in the game, so you could deliver a secure and a wonderful products in advance. On the AI side, what Red Hat is doing, we are giving you a AI-based platform, right? If you want to consume some of the available AI models from the industry, or if you want to develop, if you have a team of data scientists which are writing language models, we give you a complete platform which can run on a variety of GPU providers like NVIDIA, Intel, AMD and all, which can run from public cloud to private cloud, so always portable. And if you want to bring data, you can use middleware streaming technologies like Kafka and all. If you want to make it auto-flexible, you can run it on containers, which is Kubernetes, right? So Red Hat is giving you the entire glue to write a trusted software which can run on latest technologies like containers, which is auto-scalable, which is microservices based. And at any point of time, you want to embed AI dimension into it, the platform is absolutely ready with the branding, under the branding of OpenShift AI. So with this, I would hand it back to Rajeev.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks to all of you. I mean, very, very interesting discussions which have come out. And yes, from a open source platform, how we can handle all these issues. I mean, historically, yes, I think when Red Hat started, there was always a bias against open source in terms of, as I mentioned, support and so on. And the only thing we used to, at that time, 25 years back, used to say is, paisa bachana hai, you want to save money, so therefore use open source. But otherwise, for any critical applications, it was not there. So it's a good welcome change to see so much of applications in the open source also coming out, and cloud native applications improving efficiencies and taking care of security at the same time. Excellent. So from my side, I think I would like to say that it's been a very good learning experience for me to see all the excellent type of work and approach that the financial services industry today is taking, with specific examples coming in. Thank you very much. I think we've run out of time, but this is really a very interesting discussion for me, at least. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thanks.
Thank you. And maybe we can remain in touch on LinkedIn. That will be great.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Bye.
For more updates from CXOTV, please like and subscribe to our channel.